Senator Kerrey.
Ambassador Black, are you familiar with the 1998 effort to change the overt policy of the United States towards Iraq at all? I mean,
no,
the details of the Iraq Liberation Act.
I only do terrorism. That's more than enough for me. Iraq is the way we're organized is something different.
The reason I say it is it's on my list of regrets. I mean, not that I did that. I led the effort that President Clinton signed the legislation on Halloween 1998. And basically what it did was it said that our overt policy has to be the same as our covert policy. And one of the things the reason I say that is that I sort of regret is that I didn't do the same with terrorism, because it seems to me that when you say we were doing all we could, that we were at a state of war at the CTC, that the problem was on the overt side we weren't. And I wonder if you've seen the Delinda plan or the Blue Sky plan or what Richard Clark had in his 25 January memo. If you've seen those details, if you've given any thought to what would have happened if that had become the overt policy of the United States. I mean, I preface that by saying I got angry and angry listening to Secretary Cohen and Secretary Albright and National Security Advisor Berger and Secretary Rumsfeld leading up to a great confrontation with Dr. Rice, that, you know, they all had different reasons why they couldn't take military action. And they would posit what I thought was a straw man. We either had to have the Normandy invasion or it was cruise missiles. When there are all kinds of options, you quite correctly described the exciting collaboration between the special ops forces.
It is exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
It was an alternative that was on the table, and I wonder if you've either seen the Delinda plan or the Blue Sky or what Clark had in his 25 January memo, and if you have, if you support it, and if you think that would have had an impact if it had been implemented in 1998. I mean, I read Director Picard's statement. It's a shocking statement. Say Al-Qaeda was turning out 5 times more graduates from their camps than the FBI and CIA were graduating from their training schools. I mean, I hear Secretary Rumsfeld's testimony saying, well, we just were bombing dirt, you know, whatever it was. You know, the targets weren't very damn good. But if we'd have denied them access to those camps starting in 1998, it would have had a tremendous impact, it seems to me, in our effort against Al-Qaeda.
Well, if I could, I really think I should limit to myself. I was an intelligence officer, not a policymaker. Others make these kinds of decisions.
Well, I was a policymaker, not an intelligence officer, and that doesn't stop me from getting in your space.
It should stop me. First of all, I don't recall seeing the Delinda plan, but I do recall being a participant in originating the information for the Blue Sky memo, and we provided that to the National Security Council.
Let me ask you another one on the overt side. What if either, again, President Clinton or President Bush, pick your poison, either one of them, had said that Al-Qaeda is different than Hezbollah and Al-Aqsa and Hamas. They're different in that they've declared war on us. So Al-Qaeda members are part of an Islamic army that are trying to get inside the United States. What if the overt policy had been to say, we're going to deny them absolute access and send instructions to our consular office and our INS offices and the FBI and everybody, and they said, you know, we've got to turn this thing out. Would, for example, the Phoenix memo had a different impact? If the policymakers, again, pick your poison, either President Clinton or President Bush had said in the overt space, we're at war with Al-Qaeda. I may not need a congressional declaration of war. That's too unpopular. But at the very least, I'm going to say that Al-Qaeda soldiers can't come into the United States of America.
Well, I think, Senator, say from the early 90s, if we had engaged this with a warrior ethos, we would not be in this situation today.
Let me ask you one last question. How in God's name did all this thing happen? I got to tell you, I hear battle stations and everything that we were doing, and at our airports, we were at ease. We were stacked arms, and we were not prepared for a hijacking. I mean, now you say, well, we didn't know all the conspiracy. A hijacking surprised us. That's what Betty Ong said when we heard her voice, that the government and the FAA, none of us were prepared for even a simple hijacking. How in God's name did that happen?
Am I meant to answer that, sir?
Yeah, if you can. If you can't, fine. I mean, I'm not sure I could.
I guess instinctively it says I don't know, but what I will say is that from my perspective, that's why we tend to be a group of pretty paranoid people who don't get to sleep much. When you know, basically, that if they get by you, then it's going to be a challenge for this country to respond. We've been living that with for a lot of years of our lives, and that's the way it is for us, or that's the way it has been until, you know, the current situation we're in, where the resources and the rules of engagement and what we need.
I quoted you earlier,
available.
Mr. Ambassador, saying that I loved what you said. You know, here's what we did, here's what we tried, and here's what we failed to get done. And I mean, put myself in that camp.
We could have used some help.
I've got a
we could have
similar
used some
list.
help, Senator.